Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Witchcrafter deck profile. So this one's been a little bit since I actually updated this one, and you guys have been requesting this one for a while now. And I haven't updated this one since Witchcrafter Jenny got released, and then they announced in Duel Overload that we're actually getting a reprint of Madame Veer, which was previously like a $20 card, and Witchcrafter Creation, which was like a $25 to $30 card before the reprint, and now it's probably going to be like a 10-cent card, which is pretty funny, to be honest. So Witchcrafter is now budget, yay! So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell next so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely check out the Ko-Fi and the Patreon down in the description if you would like to donate to the channel. It is very much appreciated, and let's get straight on into this deck profile. So, first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Witchcrafter Madame Veer. I'm still glad I have the secret rare version, even though the ritual or the ultra rare version looks really cool. I'm still glad I had the secret rare version. But basically what her effect is that she has a really neat effect that during damage calculation, if a spellcaster monster battles an opponent's monster, you can reveal any number of spell cards with different names in your hand, and if you do, the battling monster gains 1,000 attack and events for each card revealed, and then until the end phase of the turn. And then quick effect, you can discard a spell, negate the activation of all face-up monster your opponent controls until the end phase of this turn. This is the boss monster of the deck. She is the smug girl herself. She is the best card in the deck. But she is a one-of because she's searchable and easily gotten out of the deck in special summon. So then we play 2 copies of Witchcrafter Golem Aruru. I like 2 Arurus. I see some people just play 1, but I like 2 personally in my build. Her effect is that when an opponent activates a card or effect that targets a spellcaster type monster you control or targets it for an attack, you can target 1 card your opponent controls or 1 Witchcrafter spell or spell in your graveyard, and then special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, return the targeted card to the hand. And you can only use her effect once per turn, and then once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, return this card to your hand. So she constantly recurs, but I want to see her quickly, and so I just play her as a 2-of. You could probably bump her down to 1, and I might do that once the trap cards come out of Eternity Code, but for now, I like 2 copies, personally. We play 2 copies of Hain. Hain's an interesting one. Basically, her effect is that your opponent cannot target other spellcaster monsters you control with card effects, and then you can discard a spell, quick effect, and target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it, which is really cool that she can pop cards. She's probably, out of all of them, my favorite artwork out of them all. Then we play 3 of the Fire Witchcrafter monster. Basically, what she does is she's the one that you want to see all the time. What she does is during your main phase, you contribute her and then discard a spell, special summon a Witchcrafter monster from your deck, except another copy of yourself. That's why we just play 1 copy of the Madame Veer, is because you can easily do it with cards like this one and your other level 4 and lower ones. Just instantly get her out of the deck. But basically what this card does is you can also banish this card from your graveyard, then send a Witchcrafter card from your deck to the graveyard. So she also Foolish Burials them, and you can only use her effect, each of her effects once per turn. We play 3 copies of the Water level 3 Witchcrafter monster. Basically what she does is she shares the ability that during your main phase you contribute her and then discard a spell to special summon a Witchcrafter from your deck. And she also has the ability that you can banish from your graveyard to draw a card and then send a Witchcrafter card from your hand to the graveyard. Or if you have none, banish your entire hand, which you really want to have something in your hand. We play 3 copies of Witchcrafter Jenny. Witchcrafter Jenny is a really good one. And something to keep in mind, she's actually in the Servant of Endymion, which is a lore thing, that the Witchcrafters, the Invoked, and the Spellbooks are all tied together. Like, all 3 of those archetypes are all tied together. Because if you actually look, she has the spell counter, and Endymion, and the mythical beast, all those different archetypes are tied together because she actually has the triangle spell counter up there in her wand, which is pretty cool. But during your main phase, you can quick effect tribute her and then discard a spell, special summon a Witchcrafter from your deck, and accept another copy of yourself, and then you manage this card and a Witchcrafter spell from your graveyard, and then this effect becomes that spell's effect when it activates, which is pretty cool because it lets you double up your spells. It kind of reminds me almost of Dark Lords because you can double up on the effects, which is really cool. And then I play a single copy of Witchcrafter Potterine. Basically, this card it's okay, she's alright, but you can tribute her and then discard a spell, special summon a Witchcrafter from your deck. But if you have no cards in your hand, you can banish her from your graveyard and then target a Witchcrafter in your graveyard and add it back to your hand, which is good, but at the same time, I just feel like she's a one-of. I don't feel like you need her as much now that you have Jenny. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. I actually don't play hand traps in here because we play a bunch of cards in this deck that make it so you don't really need them. We play 3 copies of Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave just helps us out because it is a spell card in this deck, and it just helps us out with being able to negate those hand traps and stuff like that. 3 copies of Instant Fusion. The Instant Fusions come in super clutch with being able to summon Thousand Eyes and Millennium Eyes, and actually summoning Mud Dragon of the Swamp so we can make a rank 4 play that we'll get into in just a little bit. That comes in really clutch, that you will notice that your Witchcrafters don't get really big unless they have Madame Veer on the field, and then they get really smug. They don't get big, they get smug. We play 1 copy of Monster Reborn just as kind of like an extender in this deck that you really want to play in this deck so you can special summon stuff back like your Madame Veer and your Aruru if you need to special summon your Aruru. 1 copy of Double or Nothing. Now, why do we play Double or Nothing in this deck? We don't play that many level 1s or level 4s. Why do we play this card? Well, I'm going to show you why. So basically what you do is you normal summon this card out of your hand, and then you activate the copy of Instant Fusion, and then you special summon out your copy of Mud Dragon. So then, after you special summon both of these, you can overlay them, and then special summon Utopia Double, you make Utopia Double, detach a material, add the Double or Nothing, special summon out the Utopia. This card is still live in the graveyard that banish it to use the Foolish Burial, and then you attack with 10,000 like this. So that's why we play the Utopia Double package in here. It's really, really, really easy to pull off, and it's not, and this card is searchable in the deck. So all you have to draw, it's a 2-card combo that basically gets you a 10,000 attack point monster on the field, and plus, if it doesn't, it's at least going to bait your opponent, and you're still going to pull off your Foolish Burial effect, which comes in really handy. We play 2 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge. Spellbook of Knowledge just kind of helps us draw cards in this deck, because basically what this card does is you send to your graveyard either a Spellcaster or another Spellbook card, and then draw 2 cards, which is really cool, but I really, really like that effect. Then for the Witchcrafter spells that we're playing in this deck, we're playing a single copy of Witchcrafter Collaboration. Collaboration is really helpful because you get to target a Witchcrafter monster you control. It can make a second attack during each battle phase. Then if this card, if it attacks this turn, your opponent cannot activate spell or traps until the end of the damage step. And then during your end phase, all the Witchcrafter spells share this ability. That during your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand, and you can only use 1 Witchcrafter Collaboration effect per turn, and only once that turn. So it has to sit in the graveyard a full turn, but after that, you're going to be able to add it back. So they're constantly recurring each other, which is really, really cool. 1 copy of Draping. Draping is really good because it lets you target spells and traps your opponent controls up to the number of Witchcrafter monsters you control, and basically, Giant Trunade them, bounce them back to your opponent's hand, which is really cool. And it also shares the ability that during your end phase, you can add it back to your hand of the next end phase after it's been activated. And then we play 1 copy of Witchcrafter Scrolls. Witchcrafter Scrolls is a little bit different because it has the ability that once per turn, when a spellcaster monster is destroyed by battle, you can draw a card. And then if a Witchcrafter monster you control would discard to activate its effect, you can send this card from your field to the graveyard instead. And then during your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster while this card's in your graveyard, you can place it in your spell and trap card zone instead. So this one doesn't have to sit in the graveyard, you just can't constantly put it back. 2 copies of Buy Street. Witchcrafter Buy Street is really good in here too, because basically what this card does is it constantly recurs. It does the same thing that during your end phase, you can put it back in your spell and trap card zone, and if you discard for the effect of a Witchcrafter, you can discard this card instead, which comes in really, 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 really handy. And it also has the ability that it not only does that, but the first time a Witchcrafter monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, it is not destroyed. So it also protects your Witchcrafters as well as, recurs to activate their effects, so they don't get so many minuses off of them. We play 3 copies of Witchcrafter Creation, which you guys do remember. I pulled these out of 2 boxes of Infinity Chasers, which was crazy. I can't believe I still did that. But you get to add a Witchcrafter monster from your deck to your hand, and then basically it's just the Rhoda of the deck. We play 3 copies of Witchcrafter Holiday. Witchcrafter Holiday basically lets us add a Witchcrafter monster from our graveyard, or especially summon a Witchcrafter from the graveyard. It's basically Monster Reborn, which is really cool. And then we play 3 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcaster. Secret Village of the Spellcaster comes in so handy, and why I'm not that worried about playing hand traps. You just activate this card, and it's your opponent can't activate any spells at all, and it really hurts your opponent's deck. Usually I go first in this deck to be able to pull that off, put it on the field, and put Madame Veer on the field, and then sit right there with those cards to be able to negate everything on the field. and be able to drop this. So like that comes in super handy. So that's it for the spells. I know it's a lot of spells, so let's get into the traps, guys. So for the traps, we're going to be playing just a single copy of Witchcrafter Masterpiece. Witchcrafter Masterpiece is a one-of to me because if you control a Witchcrafter monster, you can target a spell in either player's graveyard. Add one card with the same name from your deck to your hand. And then you may accept, and then during either player's turn, except this turn, this card was sent to the graveyard. You get to banish this card from your graveyard and any number of spells, and then special summon a Witchcrafter monster from your deck, whose total level equals the number of banished cards to activate this effect, which is pretty cool. So you can banish anywhere from 1 to 8 to be able to special summon any of your Witchcrafter monsters that you need to. So really easy to summon Witchcrafter Jenny, but I just played as a one-of because I feel like it's just a good one-of. So that's it for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, you don't really have to play an extra deck, except for like the Thousand Eyes, Millennium Eyes, and the Utopia and the Link Rebo, but you still want it for options. So we play a single copy of Boral Sword. That's why a lot of people play Pot of Extravagance in this deck, but I don't want to play Pot of Extravagance. You can, but it's not like top priority. So Boral Sword helps us OTK. Boral Load helps us take our opponent's monsters that are being really pesky against us. Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax basically is another OTK based card that helps us put on the field and be able to deal with our opponent's stuff. Blackluster Soldier Link Monster, you don't have to play this. You can play Deco Talker instead, or Trisbania. It just depends on what you want to play. Just play Link 3 in this place. But this card comes in really, really handy. If you want to go more budget and you don't want to play this card, drop it out, play Deco Talker. It's not going to really kill the deck if you don't play it. One copy of Unicorn to bounce stuff. Unicorn comes in really handy to bounce cards. Phoenix comes in handy to pop spells and traps. Cerberus comes in handy to pop monsters. One copy of Gravity Controller because you can link summon this card using your Thousand Eyes or Millennium Eyes on your side of the field. Link Rebo comes in the same thing. You can use Thousand Eyes, Millennium Eyes, or Witchcrafter Jenny on your side of the field to go into this card. You never go into Witchcrafter Jenny using this card because you're always going to discard that spell and then special summon another Witchcrafter from your deck. One copy of Alamirage. Alamirage comes in handy because sometimes you want to put Alamirage and Madame Beer on the field at the same time to be able to protect her from card effects, which kind of comes in handy. Sometimes, if you know your opponent's going to do some sort of weird shenanigans. One copy of Utopia and Utopia Double for the combo that I explained earlier. One copy of Mud Dragon, same concept. You just put this on the field with your copy of the Fire Witchcrafter monster, overlay them both together, make Utopia Double, make Utopia, then attack them for 10,000. One copy of Thousand Eyes just to be able to gobble up opponent's monsters, and to gain hand traps, we play a copy of Millennium Eyes or Strix. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's super fun. It's really, really cool to play around with this deck. It's a really interesting deck to be able to put Madame Veer on the field, and she basically cold waves the whole field with her smugness. But this deck is just so fun. Like, I really recommend that you guys give this deck a shot. It's really a cool deck to play around with, and it just is getting the most expensive 2 cards in this deck getting reprinted makes this deck super cheap to play around with, especially if you don't play Pot of Extravagance like I don't. The deck is really budget. Like, I mean, really budget. If you want to high value it, you can really take out some cards and put in like an extra copy or 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance, but you don't have to if you don't want to. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely check out the Ko-Fi and the Patreon down in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.